Well, in the meantime, I would like to seize this opportunity to welcome you all to this very important seminar series we are giving. Normally, I believe our provost is tied down or will be joining us a little later. At any point he joins us, I would like to give him the floor to say a few words. However, while waiting for our provost to come, I would just like to start by saying a few words. Thanking, first of all, our sponsors, those who have been sponsoring this program and making sure it runs smoothly. We are thinking of the Andrew Mellon Foundation, the Tuskegee University Faculty Senate, the National Park Services, the College of Arts and Sciences, and the College of Agriculture, Environment, and Nutritional Sciences, as well as the Department of Modern Languages, Communications, and Philosophy. Having said that, we don't forget the office of the provost equally. And I know the provost has been one of our very staunch supporters in this endeavor. Today, we are invited to listen to a young author, a young poet, promising in every aspect, to talk to us. I would give the floor to our own Mr. Austin Gibson, who is an computer engineering sophomore, to introduce our speaker for the day. If by the end of the introduction, our provost is here, we'll give him the floor. If not, we will continue and hope that he joins us at some point. So, Mr. Gibson, you have the floor to introduce us to our speaker.
Hello, my name is Austin, and I was tasked with introducing the speaker, Mr. Brandon Vega, by Dr. Indy. Mr. Vega is a native of Miami, Florida, and he holds a master's degree in urban education with a concentration in community engagement from Florida International University. Additionally, he has a specialization in Africa and Africa diaspora studies. He is also a student success advisor at St. Thomas University in Miami, Florida. Mr. Vega is the author of Ghetto Conscious, Evolution of a Rebel, and the founder of the Exist Above the Noise project. Mr. Vega's mission is to satisfy the hunger for success and positivity through enlightenment. His survival enlightened his commitment to serve as a positive resource to those around him by remaining active in his community. Mr. Vega works with numerous youth group programs, helping to promote character development, high self-esteem, and positive peer relationships. He uses his time in his pursuit to evolve his artistry by the books he engages with, his writing process, his public speaking engagements, and elevating his mentees. The topics of the presentation will be the power of EATN. Upon the successful completion of the presentation, students will be able to, 1, identify their strengths and develop areas for growth, 2, demonstrate the skills and recognize the benefits of EATN, and 3, define their perspectives and positions to be successful in life. Please join me in welcoming the guest speaker, Mr. Brandon Vega.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gibson. I greatly appreciate that. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Indy, for allowing me to have this opportunity. One of the things that I learned when I was in college was to never delay gratitude. So I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out to join this call and to, you know, listen. And, you know, as we're going, if you have any questions or if you have any comments or things of that nature, please feel free to say something. I like things to be interactive. So, you know, don't be afraid or don't hesitate to speak up if I say something or you hear something that, you know, sparks something in your mind. So I want to know if I can share my screen just because I have a PowerPoint that I want to put on.
Go right ahead. You're free to share the screen.
Okay. Yeah, it's giving me a little trouble.
You could email it to me. I'll share it from this end.
Okay, all right.
Give me a sign when you send it.
I just sent it.
Okay.
Did you receive it, Dr. Indy?
No, not yet. Let's see. It should still be on its way. Which email did you send it to?
WND@tuskegee.edu.
All right. Try sending it to my DRBI, to my Gmail account.
Okay, or can somebody make me the co-host so I can share the screen?
All right.
Yeah, make me the co-host.
All right, I'll make you the co-host. Don't worry if that's the issue. You're now the co-host.
Okay.
We can see your screen.
Oh, you can see it already?
No, we can see the PowerPoints, but we can see your screen.
Can you see it now?
No, not.
No, it's just white right now.
Can you see it now?
No, the screen is just white.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna just do this. I'm gonna just go through this. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted you guys to follow along, but for the sake of time, I'm not gonna hold you all. So as I was introduced, my name is Brandon Vega. I'm from Miami, Florida, and I just grew up, wanting to, figure out why, certain things took place in my community and why certain things was happening. I noticed when I went to certain parts of the city, things were a whole lot better. It seemed like the air was a little fresher, the streets were cleaner, just everything was better. And every time I came home, I just would, have this question about, why is that? So EATN is eaten. It's the acronym for exists above the noise. And today, we're going to be talking about, self-expression. I'm gonna read some pieces from, my book, Ghetto Conscious Evolution of a Rebel, and just discuss what eating means. And eating derives from, my environment of growing up. Every time I heard the word eating, I thought about money, because that's what, people was referring to when they said they was eating. Or if you played a certain sport, you was doing your thing in that respective sport. And that again was, synonymous with eating. So eating to me means a plethora of things. However, as I became, educated and I got, into different environments and I got a chance to go out into the world, I started to realize that, the world is much bigger than our environments and in our neighborhoods that we so used to. And eating again is existing above the noise, and existing above the noise is not getting distracted or deterred from your goals in life. As we all know, especially in the times we live in with social media and everything that's going on, there's a lot of things out here that, can take up our, time, our mental space, and, just everything that we trying to do. We could easily be swayed by, things that's going on. So in this, this first piece I'm gonna read to you guys, again, is from my first book, Ghetto Conscious Evolution of a Rebel. One can be so accustomed to chaos that when he or she finally arrives into a stable environment, the norm can cause confusion. When the erratic behaviors are no longer deciding factors, they can cause withdrawal and restlessness, becoming unbearable to existence. The seduction of believing the intensity of the jungle equates to the survival of being alive happens in the subconscious mind. It entangles it, leaving the soul longing for a meaningful purpose. The experience of surviving the jungle day in and day out produces heart-pounding excitement and fear. One must seek help because subconsciously, one is addicted to chaos. On the brighter side, there are pros to growing up in this jungle. The jungle forces one to develop a desperate sense of hunger required to survive the world. A certain kind of mentality, an eating mentality. Eating is the acronym for exists above the noise. Existing above the noise is not allowing self to be discouraged by obstacles or distracted from one's goals during this journey. The jungle replicates the world we live in with all of its noise, distractions, and obstacles. Without that focus in the jungle, one's survival may be in jeopardy. So, in saying all of that, we will refer to, the neighborhood, our environment again as the jungle, right? Where like how wild things can actually get. But, as a Black boy, now a Black man, growing up, every day it was like, living on the edge, just being afraid of something happening to you and maybe not even having control of what, can take place. Every day going to school, I would just, think about like, all right, which way I'm gonna go home after school so I don't get caught up in the certain messes and things like that usually take place. So for me, I was existing above the noise way before I even knew what existing above the noise was. I was always trying to avoid any chaos or any trouble, trying to be non-confrontational. But again, sometimes confrontation finds us. So eating is a mindset with a long-term payoff, and existing above the noise is an invaluable resource to everyone, inspiring us to achieve anything mentally, physically, socially, and emotionally. Eating answers a compelling question. How do we arrive at our goals in today's society? So, with that question being posed, how do we arrive at our goals in today's society? I developed something called the EATN Pillars of Success. And it is my belief that with these 9 pillars, if you take these and apply these, it can not make life easier, but it'll make life a little more doable in the sense of being encouraged, being motivated, and just taking action. So the first pillar is having a vision. And here's a piece that I'm going to read, and then I'll explain. The days are long, the nights are cruel. Coming up in the ghetto, sometimes I wonder, what is a Black boy to do when he grows up without his daddy because he either dead or canned in a cell? How does he not expect a spot to be reserved for him in jail? Growing up fast, forced to learn on our own, it is difficult when you have to teach yourself. The system is flawed. It is designed for us all to fail. Taking responsibility, you see, it starts with me and nobody else. If I'm going to influence others, I must start with myself. Today, things will change, starting it off by looking in the mirror, exhaling as I breathe, wiping the condensation to see my reflection to get a clearer picture. As a Black man, I have to be the example that I want to see, saving one boy at a time in our community. We have been down, but never out. Destruction only leads to reconstruction. We must get out in the field, lace up our boots, put on our hard hats to make sure there will be construction. Building boys up in ghettos everywhere, I guarantee it'll be worth it. A new day will soon come when we are all reformed, ensuring the Black male resurgence. That poem is called Black Male Resurgence. Before I move on, does anybody have a question or anything they want to say as I'm going, or am I good to continue?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
All right, I have a question. I was gonna ask, so how do you target eating to people who may not have grown up in the ghetto?
Okay, so thank you for that question. Eating applies to everybody, right? And at the end of this, I'll answer that question, but I'll answer it right now as well. Where it doesn't matter where you come from, we all have to exist above the noise. It doesn't matter where you live, how you grew up, what color you are, what gender you are, none of that stuff. There are things that we all have to do, right, in order to succeed. And again, I just wanted to take, and this is also a part of have a vision, the first pillar of success. This is my vision, right, to take what I learned from my neighborhood to put it out into the world, because so many times you grow up in a system where you're learning other people's ways and you're learning different things where you don't even understand what it is that you're coming from or why things are the way that they are. So the reason for pursuing a master's degree in urban education is, again, I believe that everybody that grows up in a certain environment already has a PhD. They just don't know how to explain in certain terms, right? So if you don't come from this environment, this is to enlighten you on, hey, ease up. Sometimes people, are a certain way because of circumstances or because of things that have taken place within their lives. But again, just because you don't come from this doesn't mean that existing above the noise doesn't apply to your life, because again, we all must have a vision, right, for our lives. And that piece that I just read, Black Male Resurgence, is again a part of my vision for why I developed the EATN Project. And my goal and my dream is to, be somebody that inspires and influences, all little kids coming behind me to be encouraged to, be literate, right? People are not reading on grade level. People are not able to write and spell, efficiently enough. And to me, that's sad. And that's something that's a part of my vision that I want to, help with. And that's why I wrote this book, because in the process of thinking like, hey, why don't we have enough representation in literature and things of that nature? Instead of being somebody that was on the sideline complaining, I decided to put myself in the game and contribute. So again, that's all a part of, vision, right? So now the second pillar is to believe in yourself, right? You have to believe in yourself. And I hope I answered your question, Mr. Gaynor. But the second pillar is to believe in yourself, right? We have to all understand that we were created to do great things. And again, this has nothing to do with color. I'm just a boy from Miami, Carroll City that wants the world to know about what goes on in this certain environment. And I believe that I've been called to be the storyteller, just like how some people, you know, they rap, they tell the story of their neighborhoods and things of that nature. I want to enlighten you on an educational tip where, again, not to say you can't learn from music, but this is more in depth with words are very powerful. And if you put them on a piece of paper, right, the way it could transform somebody's minds you know, is something that's unexplainable. You know, I've received more attention as an author than I've ever received as an athlete. I was once a you know, Division I basketball player at Winthrop University. I hardly ever talk about basketball because, again, I grew up, you know, always thinking nobody cares about what you used to do. It's about what you're doing, right? So that was my past life. And now I'm a student success advisor at, you know, St. Thomas University. I was a kid, again, growing up that never thought he was going to college. And now I work at one. And I work at this college all because of that book, Ghetto Conscious, Evolution of a Rebel. So simply because I believed in, you know, what I was possessed with, it helped me, you know, get an opportunity that I could have never imagined. And then the third pillar is stay motivated. We all must stay motivated. There will be times when negativity tries to surround us, but as long as we stay encouraged, you know, we'll be good to go. We can't never let, you know, ourselves get too down to where, you know, we want to give up and things of that nature. And again, that's where existing above the noise comes back again as well. You know, we have to always think about where we want to be, and where we want to be is going to take a lot of hard work. In my book, the second image before you get out of chapter 1 is a picture of a maze. And, you know, in the beginning of the maze, you have to visualize how you're going to make it out, right? But once you enter this maze, once you get stopped a couple times and you run into some railroads and things of that nature, are you going to give up or are you going to keep going? There's a picture on the internet. I don't know if you guys ever seen it. And it's two people, and they're both mining, right? And one of them turned around and give up, and then the other person is steady going. Now, the one that gave up was like inches away from all the diamonds and gold, and the person that, you know, kept going, you know, knew that it was something to be had. So that person stayed motivated, right? So now, the next piece I want to share with you guys is one of my favorite pieces far as staying motivated is concerned, and it goes like this. Don't get down on yourself when it seems like everyone else is winning. Remember, in baseball, there are 9 innings. Being down in the beginning doesn't mean you're finished. You could get back in the game if you stay focused and handle your business. Worry about getting on base instead of hitting home runs. Take your time. The game was never won in inning 1, right? And that's called long game. Because again, in this world that we live in, everything is, you know, super, super fast, and we trying to move at a rapid speed, but we have to understand that everything happens in due time, right? I like to say this a lot where, you know, I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with the game musical chairs, right? Where you know, got to sit down before the music is done. You'd get to dictate that, right? You get to dictate whether you make it to that seat or not, right? You're in control. When the universe plays musical chairs and the tectonic plate starts to shift under us and we end up in certain places that we don't understand and we don't know what's going on and things of that nature, it's because God wants us to be exactly where we're supposed to be, whether it's a difficult situation or a fairly good situation, right? That's where we're supposed to be in that time. So when the world plays musical chairs, you know, we just have to, you know, remain steadfast and believe that, you know, we're here to do what we're supposed to do, and everything gonna work itself out, which takes us to our 4th pillar. Control what you can control, right? There are things that matter and things that don't matter. And some of the things, right, that don't matter are things that we don't have to necessarily deal with. But anything that's a priority and anything that's important to us and that means something, right, we should do everything we can to make sure we stay focused on those things. So for example, school, right? The thing you can control is your effort. You can control, how much studying you do. You can control how much you see your professor and try to figure out what it is that you're doing. There's a multitude of things that you could do, to make sure you get the best grade possible, opposed to waiting at the end of the semester to try to rush and meet with professors and try to, last minute do things, right? So if you control the things you need to control at the beginning of a semester or at the beginning of, whatever it is that you're trying to do, more than likely you'll succeed, right? So we should always make sure we controlling what we can control. While we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond to it. So that's something that we all, can definitely keep in mind. And I'm sure, again, that these are things that, we are all familiar with. The fifth pillar, eliminate distractions. We can start by creating a positive environment for ourselves, in an environment where we are less tempted to stray from our path, right? So again, those distractions, those noises, those, sometimes your negative talk to yourself trying to talk you out of things, or your peers or parents or family members sometimes getting in your ear. When we have a goal and we focus on something, we got to make sure we keep our blinders on and we run our race. So whatever it is that's not supportive of what it is that we're trying to do, we have to eliminate those things. And it doesn't mean that we don't love those people, or, we don't love, what it is we used to do. But if you really want to be who you think you're supposed to be, you'll do everything possible, right, to make sure you're that person. So sacrificing, the small things like, hanging out and, doing things that maybe, again, will keep you away from what it is you're trying to do. You will be more than happy if you give up those things earlier than waiting later on in life and trying to do it at the last minute again, like turning in work. Somebody said question? Oh.
No.
Okay. So again, eliminating distractions. Next, cultivate a positive self-image, right? This acronym, I have it as CAPS, cultivate a positive self-image. When we have a positive self-image, we can motivate ourselves to seek success. So again, this self-expression, right? Sometimes the hardest place to look is in the mirror, right? The hardest place to look is in the mirror. And the reason why it's hard is because you see everything that, others may not be able to see. And we have to understand that if we talk to ourselves positively, if we see ourselves positively, we have a greater chance of, feeling better, right? Our emotions being in check. We have to have positive thoughts. And a lot of times, for me, I know that I've struggled with self-doubt and not believing I was, good enough and all these different things. Like, back in 2016, I set out to write, my first book when I was, as soon as I graduated college. And I kept running into writer's block. And, I've read so many books and I kept comparing myself to the, James Baldwin's of the world and the Maya Angelou's and all these other great, authors and things of that nature, Andy Andrews. And I realized that I have to be Brandon Vega, right? I can't be none of these other people. I have to be Brandon Vega. And if I don't stay true to Brandon Vega, I'm going to lose. Now, in saying that, right, although it still is kind of difficult to, every day, look at self, because again, there's a lot of work I would like to improve on. There's a lot of things that I would like to do. I believed in myself enough to create a product that, again, got me an opportunity to, work in higher education. When I set out to write this book, my goal was to try to sell 1,000 for the year, right? But then I thought to myself, I said, I'm probably not going to sell 100 books because I don't know 5 people that consistently read. So here I am putting myself in a game where I don't know anybody. I don't know how to go about this. I don't know what to expect. However, I believe in myself enough that I come from an environment where we all hustlers, and I'm going to make you buy whatever it is that I'm selling, period. And now the work that I'm selling is actually legal work. When I go to the post office or when I go to FedEx and I put my books on the scale, nobody can seize those packages. Nobody can touch them. Nobody can do anything with them. But standing on the corner is a different story, right? I dedicated this book to my friend who was killed 2 years ago with his 7-year-old son. And a part of my ghetto conscience is watching all the guys that came before me that actually participated in the streets. And I knew from a very early age that I wanted no parts of that because I saw how treacherous it was. I saw how gritty you had to be. I saw how cunning you had to be. And I knew I never wanted to be like that. But this individual saved my life because he did everything in his power to keep me away from that. So this whole ghetto conscious thing is for everybody in America that, again, comes from this particular environment. And, I just want to share this story to let you know, like, it don't matter where you come from. Like, again, I'm that kid that never thought he was going to college and I'm sitting in my office because of a book. I'm not sitting in this office because I applied here. I was sought out because I wrote my story, and we all have a story, right? We all have a story that's interesting, that's captivating, but we have to truly believe this. We have to truly believe it. The next piece I'd like to share with you guys goes like this. I would hear him calling my name. Everyone was shooting except for me. We all had goals. We all had dreams. If you aren't shooting for the stars, redirect your aim. No one wants a piece of your struggle, but will gladly take a slice of your fame. A diamond in the rough, it will be a damn shame. If I don't make it out, will my environment accept the responsibility? Will it take the blame? And this poem is called Diamond in the Rough. And the reason why I named it that was because sometimes some of us get caught up in, our environment and in our neighborhoods and things of that nature, where we get lost in the shuffle, where we have all of this talent, but because the environment can't cultivate this talent, the environment can't give us what we need, we end up succumbing to all of the pressures. And again, that's where existing above the noise kicks in again. You have to exist above the noise. You don't have to be like what's around you, right? You definitely don't have to be like what's around you, because I made a conscious decision very early that the men that I watched growing up, some of the women I watched growing up, some of my family members, I thought to myself, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like this. Now, that's not to say these aren't good people. However, it wasn't the path that I wanted to choose, because I knew I wanted to explore the world. I want to go to the, pyramids of Egypt. I want to go to, the Colosseum. I want to go to the, Great Walls of China. I want to travel the world. I want to see, because again, a man can't be what he can't see. So if you're not exposed to certain things, then you don't know it's real. I never knew anybody that was a doctor growing up. I never knew anybody that was a lawyer. My father was a police officer, and that was growing up one of the most embarrassing things, because again, I'm going to school with people who don't like the police and who are trying to avoid the police. So I had to hide, you know what I'm saying? Or I never told anybody my dad was the police. Nobody in America probably has ridden in the back of a police car more than me, because I used to get dropped off to school in the police car. So again, God puts us in, positions where riding in the back of that police car every day made me think, okay, I'm not handcuffed and I'm back here. And it's tight, it's hot, and all this stuff. Why would I want to put myself back here with handcuffs on? It would make no sense. And sometimes when I would get in trouble, and I'm an adult now, I'm a big boy, and my dad might not like this, but he probably will laugh. When I used to get in trouble, my dad would slide the door open so the AC wouldn't come back there. So now I have to ride back there and sweat, and then he would ride around for a long time on purpose. So again, all of these things program me to say, you know what? I don't want no trouble. I want to stay the path, right? I played basketball growing up. It kept me out of trouble on weekends and, days when I could have been, participating in foolishness. I had games of practice to, be in. So reading that Diamond in the Rough piece just carries over to this next pillar, which is the 7th pillar, and it's GASP. Acronym is GASP, and GASP is get around supportive people. People play a huge role in our lives, and it is crucial that we choose the right people to be around. right? So again, find an environment that you can go into and that you can immerse yourself in, where there are going to be people that is gravitating towards your thinking and the way you feel and respecting how you express yourself, right? Growing up, I always was thinking a certain way, but I knew I had to hide who I was because, again, when in Rome, you must do what the Romans do. Because if you don't, you can be penalized. And again, just using my intelligence and my wits, I say, you know what? It'll probably be best to pretend to be a fool instead of trying to show everybody that you're intelligent. Because I've seen people on the way home from school get beat up because they was wearing a book bag. I've seen all type of crazy things. So that's why sometimes I didn't even want to wear a book bag to school. I just take a folder because I don't want to get randomly beat up. And it's amazing that, you know, again, these are things that were transpiring and taking place, and these were the norms. These were the norms, and these probably still are the norms, I'm sure. But again, existing above the noise is to try to, you know, help program everybody's thinking, to recalibrate the way we thinking, to say, hey, this is not normal and we need to do a better job. And hey, we don't always have to be athletes and entertainers and things of that nature. We could actually be master thinkers, because Brandon Vega wants to be respected for his thinking, right? Yeah, I played basketball. I went to school for free, got a, you know, good education, all these different things, but nobody cares about, again, what you used to do, right? I want to be respected for my mind. I want to be Dr. Seuss 2.0. That's what I want to be, right? That's my vision for myself. And I truly believe that that's something that, you know, I can do. I see a question. Do you mentor those in need of guidance, be a positive person in their life to steer clear of negativity? Yes, I have mentored people. I'm still building myself up as well. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to put this in the chat so you guys can go check it out as I'm talking. But this is my stuff right here. Feel free to check it out. At the end, I'll share my other handles and stuff so we all can stay connected, because again, one of the things I truly believe in is social capital. And social capital goes into gas, which is getting around supportive people, right? Your net worth is your net worth. So again, you have to be around those that can help elevate you and get you in rooms that you can't get in, right? It's all good. You know, in my mind, when I be thinking sometimes where it's like, man, I haven't got a chance to see this person, or I haven't gotten a chance to hang with that person and do this and do that. But it's like, again, I've been called to, you know, be on a mission. And when you're on that mission, the mission is the mission, and you cannot derail from it. So again, it goes back to existing above the noise, right? You have to exist above the noise to do what you need to do. Next, respect your own path. The 8th pillar is to respect your own path. Taking our own path can be lonely at times, but it can also open up new possibilities for discovery, right? I had a hard time respecting my own path because the neighborhood told me that I had to be a gangster. The neighborhood told me I had to have a gun. The neighborhood told me I had to sell drugs. The neighborhood told me I had to disrespect women. The neighborhood told me a lot of things that weren't true. And for a long time, I believed those things, right? I still, to a certain degree, abide by a certain code of ethics because of my environment. But this same environment that gave me certain tools, I see how these tools apply in the real world. Because again, when you have a certain mentality and you believe that you can do anything, there's nobody that is going to be able to get in your way. And because I've been able to survive the neighborhood, I don't believe that out here in this corporate world or in this higher education world, I don't believe that anybody can teach better than me. I don't believe but that's what I believe, because again, I'm a competitor and I'm trying to motivate myself to be better, right? This gentleman, Dr. Indy, is, I call him sensei. I respect him to the highest degree. And my goal is to one day be on his level and to surpass that, because again, that's what we're here to do. We're supposed to achieve the goals our predecessors have achieved, so our successors can surpass us. And that's why I'm always trying to, you know, read, you know, learn as much as I can learn, because I like the fact that, I can have different conversations with different people and talk about different genres of music and different arts and things of that nature, right? We all get caught up sometimes in money, right? Because we live in a capitalistic society. But here are the three most important capitals. Academic capital. We have to have academic capital. If you get an education, right, you limit yourself to be exploited. You limit the chances of being exploited as you advance your education. The second capital, I mentioned it, social capital. We have to have social capital. We have to have the right people. We have to have the right phone contacts, right? Spending time on the phone with somebody for an hour or 2 hours talking about nonsense doesn't weigh the same amount as having a 10 or 15-minute conversation with somebody that's talking real legitimate business, right? Being on Instagram and all that stuff all the time has nothing to do with nothing when you could be in a meeting at Starbucks or on a Zoom call and things of that nature. So ladies and gentlemen, stand clear and make sure that you putting yourself in position to win if you really want to win, right? And last, cultural capital, right? It's good to know about a lot of different things, try different foods, try different music, try different arts. We have to, be versatile, right? We can't be one way. And that's one of the things I love about, what I've been given is because I can dress any type of way or wear anything. My hair could be done. My hair don't have to be whatever, but I'm going to always fit in the room because I've learned how to be a chameleon. And again, everything the neighborhood gave me is what school can't give me. So I'm so grateful that God put me in the ghetto because again, ghetto only means gentlemen helping everyone thrive through obstacles. So I am ghetto and I am a product of my environment. And I am very, very, very proud of that. And I don't run from that because I know that everything that has been instilled in me and everything that my neighborhood has given me are things that other folks just can't, you can't learn this, right? So at the same time, that's where eating comes from, right? Existing above the noise. I took eating where we was trying to get money all the time, right? We was eating, selling drugs. We was eating when we was scamming and scheming. But now I want to eat in a way where now I don't have to look over my shoulder for the police. I don't have to worry about anybody trying to rob me, right? I could walk into FedEx with 500 books and I could put them there and we could weigh them and we could do all these different things and box them up and all that. And I could walk out, no trouble, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to change the game in the sense of, hey, y'all, Brandon Vega is right here. And I believe I'm going to be one of the greatest authors ever. And Ghetto Conscious is the best book that you've never read. And I truly believe that. And I have to believe that. And I have to hear myself say that. And everything I'm saying is, I want you guys to know that if Brandon Vega could do it, or if he's attempting to do it, I can do it too, because we all can't be Jay-Z or Beyonce or LeBron James or Tiger Woods or, all these great people, right? But we all can be master thinkers. We all can be master thinkers. And our last pillar is no matter what you do in this life, take action. Always take action. And the last piece is walking the straight and narrow, trying to keep balance. Straddling the line takes a ton of talent. Entering the unknown, stuck in between when the rope snaps. Losing all control, praying things don't collapse. I've seen people lose due to their attitude. Lives were cut short prior to reaching maximum altitude. At all times, purpose must be pursued. We all have choices. Which life will you choose? That's the last poem in my book, and that's called Choices. And in the book, I wish I had the PowerPoint to share with you guys. There's a young man walking out of the maze because in the beginning of the book, he starts in the beginning. So ladies and gentlemen, as long as we exist above the noise, there is not nothing we cannot do. Life is difficult, right? Life is very hard, but we have to be strategic and we have to outdo life. We can't let life just happen to us. And again, when it's all said and done for me, I want everybody to know that I lived and I was around. And that's why I wrote the book. Jose Marti, there's a Spanish proverb by Jose Marti, and it's plant a tree, write a book, and have a son. I've done all three. So I got more work to do. I'm looking forward to all the work that I'm doing. I'm currently working on my second book, Ghetto Conscious, Dancing with the Shadow. And how much time do we have left, Dr. Indy? Because I don't want to.
No, just go ahead. We still have a few minutes, and there are a few questions you have on the chat.
Okay, all right. It says what was the 6th and 9th pillar? Okay. The 6th pillar was cultivate a positive self-image. And the 9th pillar was take action. So I'm going to read 2 more pieces, and you guys are the first group that I'm actually going to share this with, so I'm very excited. These new pieces are in my new book. Hopefully it'll be ready 2023, so we're working very, very hard on it. You know, I'm currently a student as well. I'm pursuing my PhD in ethical leadership. So again, I want to be that gentleman that when I do tell everybody, hey, go get an education and do this and do that, I can say that because I'm actually doing it. You know, was always a kid growing up that I never liked when somebody told me to do something that they couldn't do or that they weren't willing to do themselves, right? And school is very, very hard. Writing all these papers are very, very difficult. However, I know that there's an end, you know, there's something at the end of all of this, right? And I also believe that sometimes, you know, even though you see the rainbow and you follow the rainbow, at the end of the rainbow, there may not be no gold at the end of the rainbow. However, the journey is always worth the walk. And if you guys have ever read The Alchemist, right? The little boy Santiago, he finds out at the end of the book that the treasure was within him the whole time. So ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to look no further but in the mirror, the most difficult place to look. Once we exist above the noise, and that self-doubt and all those different things, ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing that we cannot do. There is nothing that we cannot do. So here's the first piece that I'm going to share with you guys. Like I said, I'm very excited. It's going to be in the book, Dancing with the Shadow. What's behind the door, the knob, you must turn. Once you cross that threshold, please know you shall never return. Life is the greatest teacher. Her lessons, I pray you learn. Why do certain things happen? Well, this should be the least of your concerns. Nothing will ever be given. Whatever you want must be earned. Right before this test, it's normal if your stomach churns. The ideology of enslavement is a notion you should most definitely spurn. When all you can do is dream about it, then it means that you've yearned to be free. So that's going to be the first piece that opens up the next book, because if you guys got a chance to go on my website or, you know, check out my social media or anything, you will be able to see there's a book on the, there's a door on the cover of my book. So that's why I'm saying what's behind the door, the knob you must turn. And again, it's going to let you know more if you get into it. And this last piece before I take questions is the boat arrived on the shore. After the lengthy trip, the encaptured people harnessed a funk that was unbreathable. Their bodies glistened in sweat. Their eyes burned from the perspiration. Most reflected on all those that were lost during the journey. Some had given in, deciding to hand their lives over to the sea. After years and years, back and forth across the transatlantic, stockpiles of Black bodies would take its proper place. The seabed would eventually become occupied with bodies. Although the pressure of the ocean was intense, it had nothing on the pressure the other brothers and sisters would endure on land. Those of whom had survived the voyage began to be escorted from the bottom of the boat. Shackled in chains, only wearing the skin God gave, each slave was completely clueless, for they had no idea what was about to take place. That's called White Lion. So ladies and gentlemen, as I promised, I will answer Mr. Gainer's question towards the end. And after this, you guys open up, ask me questions, whatever it is, please give me some feedback, check out my website when you get a chance. If you know any educators, forward this stuff out. But here's the pledge for EATN. I will discover my purpose in life. In order to fulfill my purpose, I will embrace all pressure and challenges along the journey. I will achieve the goals I set out to accomplish. I will take the good with the bad understanding that nothing in life comes easy. And I will never lose sight of the bigger picture despite the obstacles thrown my way. I will exist above the noise. How can I starve if I'm always eating? And again, it doesn't matter what color you are, you have to eat to survive, whether you vegan, whether you love meat, whatever the case may be, we all have to eat to survive. And again, that's what eating is all about, existing above the noise, right? Feeding your mind positive thoughts and always trying to do right. And you know, that's what the Eating Project is about. This is my self-expression. Again, I derive from an environment that has made me a man who believes that, you know, I can do anything I want to do and nobody can't do nothing about it, period. Because this ain't the streets. So I already know that I'm going to survive and I'm going to do great things. So I want to say thank you all for your time. Thank y'all for listening to me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I hope that you left or leave with something. I hope that you leave with something. So thank you once again for your time. And I'll take any questions for the remaining time.
Thank you, Mr. Vega. That was really brilliant. I would read some of the questions that came on the chat. I'll start first of all with the comments from Dr. Robert Morris. And thank you, Dr. Robert Morris, for your comment. He says, iron sharpens iron from everything you've said, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Morris.
Very, very complimentary. And Taylor is trying to find out from you if you do mentor those in need of guidance, those who want to be positive and steer clear of negativity. Do you mentor them?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is definitely what we're doing. That's what the Eating Project is all about. Mentoring and just again, looking to change the trajectory of how young people are thinking. If you guys, again, I'm going to say this again, if you check out my website, if you check out my Instagram and see all that I've done and things of that nature, I've worked with everybody. And again, I'm a kid that I never thought I would be in this position. I was very stubborn. I always went against the grain growing up. I always was causing chaos. I was always doing the opposite of what everybody else was doing because I don't believe in following the crowd. I have another piece that's going to be in the new book that says, pay close attention. Things are happening right before your eyes. Wolves dress up because sheep fall for the skies. And, you know, I don't need a shepherd because I'm not a sheep. You know, how I grew up and what I grew up around, you know, I just operate in a different way. And again, I believe that nobody can stop what it is that I'm trying to do. And I would like to, you know, try to follow in Dr. Seuss's footsteps in the sense of what he's done for education and the books that he's had. I want people that come from where I come from to want to read more. I had a young man a few months ago when I was speaking at a school. He was going crazy to try to get the attention of an adult to let that person know that I wrote a book. And that did something to me that was unexplainable because for somebody to, again, recognize you for a book, that's just mind blowing. But again, it's only mind blowing because we're not used to seeing it. But Brandon Vega is looking to make sure that that's something that's normal.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Mr. Austin Gibson would like to know, when you were a kid living in your former environment, what was the biggest temptation or trap that threatened your vision? And what is the biggest current environmental threat to young people in general?
Wow, that's an amazing question. Thank you so much, Mr. Gibson, for that. I would say, whoa, wow. The third chapter in my book is temptation. So one of the biggest temptations or traps would be just, again, selling drugs. You know, my next door neighbor, like I said, my book was dedicated to him. Me being here, my persona, my charisma, everything that I am, you know, of course, you know, from the greatness of my parents, but I am him because I wanted to be like him. I idolized him. I just didn't want to participate in the streets and, seeing how he was getting money and, driving cars and seemed like anything he wanted to do, I was enticed by, being a drug dealer and trying to, do things that I had no business doing. And, I remember when I signed my scholarship to go to Winthrop University, a few days before I was getting ready to go, I was riding around in the car with, a 8-ball of cocaine. And that would have definitely ruined my career. That would have definitely got me some time earned. And I wouldn't be on this call with you guys. So life sometimes is a chance of luck as well. So I believe that one of the biggest threats to our young people now is just the drug of social media. It's very addicting. I'm addicted to it. One, because I have to run a business, but two, because it's just like, you're just trying to see what else is going on so you could keep up because there's so much things going on. But again, I believe that, existing above the noise and the EATN project can, kind of tackle some of these issues to try to, help out and make people think differently.
All right, thank you. We have a few more questions. Mr. Thomas Tyree would like to know if you plan to visit Tuskegee anytime.
I would love to visit Tuskegee. I was actually hoping I could come up there soon, but whenever the opportunity presents itself, I'll be on the first thing smoking. I would love to visit that, historic campus, just based off the history. So again, just even being able to do this from Zoom and knowing that I'm talking to students and faculty and staff from a prestigious university, this is like a dream come true. So whenever the opportunity presents itself, I'll be there. So just let everybody know if y'all thought this presentation was good to have me out. I'm open to it.
All right. Chanel Said would also like to find out from you if you're looking for mentors to join your movement.
That would be great. You could definitely email me. I'll put my email in the chat. We could definitely have that conversation because again, you gotta have an army, to do certain things. And as a self-published author, that's why I'm asking you guys, if you can please share my information, forward my website, my Instagram, follow me, all that different stuff. That would help me tremendously because again, I do know that if St. Thomas University will implement ghetto consciousness into its curriculum and in its first year studies, this is a Catholic university. Every HBCU in America should have this book. Not only HBCUs, but every high school, every middle school should have this book. This should be a required reading for everybody. And not because I wrote it, but because of the story and because of the journey, because this journey, it's all of our lives outlined just in many different ways. So again, life is not about race and color and things of that nature. We're all people and we're all trying to do the same things, which is succeed. And in my mind, I believe if we all work together, we can actually build a utopia where everybody can actually enjoy life. But again, unfortunately, some people are greedy and some people are selfish. And again, Brandon Vega is trying to be on the side of, challenging that.
All right, thank you. And Mr. DeGray has a question. He says he remembers you talking about comparing the environment near you versus yours at a very young age. What is your biggest piece of advice for someone who looks at the journey of others and compare their lives to those today?
Yeah, again, when we're running our race, we can't look over in the other lane. It's like driving a car. If you, just, not putting on your blinkers and you just trying to get over, you might get into a car accident. God gave you your life for a reason. And you need to try to figure out why it is that you're great. We're all great people. And if you take away G and R, the word still has E. EATN's values is education, authenticity, transparencies are non-negotiable. So again, everything is EATN. Everything is existing above the noise. Brandon Vega is not worrying about what the next man or next woman has because Brandon Vega has to focus on the task at hand. Brandon Vega is also responsible for Messiah Vega. So I have to run my race. And I also know that if I run and I keep running straight, everybody that's coming behind me will stay in line. So again, we can't be swerving over, worrying about others. Remember, the poem is, don't get down on yourself when it seems like everyone else is winning. Remember, in baseball, there are 9 innings. So just because you down earlier, you don't seem like you where you're supposed to be. Guess what? Life is a very long game if you intend on playing for a long time, right? So don't be a short-term thinker, and you have to be able to see the forest from the trees. So that's what I would say.
Okay, thank you. We have a few more questions. I'm really happy the way it is panning out, because many people are motivated after listening to you ask questions. And Dr. Robert Morris comes to you with this question. What advice would you give to parents and other stakeholders to assist students not to fall into traps of life?
Wow, that's a very deep question, Dr. Morris. I would just say that the advice I would give is to first try to understand the things that are plaguing young people. You know, so many times people always think because they was a teenager once before that they think they know how it goes. And it's like, you know, I'm only 31 years old. And, you know, I can remember like yesterday when I was 16, but I don't know what a 16-year-old is going through now. I can't imagine living in the world as a teenager now with social media and all this stuff going on. Brandon Vega would probably be dead or in jail. Promise you that. There's no way. So we as, you know, adults and, you know, people who are watching the youth come behind us, we have to try to figure out what the issues is. And we have to try to, again, immerse ourselves in their business by letting them speak up and saying what it is that they can do, or things that can be done to help them. A lot of times because we're older, we think we know it all and we think we got the answer. But there's also a book called The Little Prince. You all should check it out. It's a book called The Little Prince. And it's about this little boy who's just going from planet to planet, and he's realizing that every adult on each planet has no sense. They're not as smart as they think they are, right? And again, no matter how old you get, you're not as smart as you think you are. And we're always trying to learn. So don't ever think you're grown, because when you say that you're grown, you're done growing. So I would just say we got to support them in whatever capacity they need support in by first listening.
All right. And Jamiria White, who is from South Florida, asked you whether you believe growing in that environment only molds you as an individual to want to be great.
Of course you want to be great. I remember playing football. I done played with so many guys that made it to the NFL and NBA. Everybody was good. I was never the best player on no team that I ever played on. Not even close. Not even close. But again, I'm a competitor. And I'm not going to let you outdo me. I'm not going to let you, I mean, I just can't. And I have to be good. I grew up around gangsters. Everybody was gangsters. You have to be a gangster. You have to be. And if you don't, you're going to lose. And I don't want to lose. I'm a sore loser. I want to win. And I'm going to win any means necessary. Ethically, but I want to win by any means necessary. And that's just what it is. And I believe that, again, the water is great everywhere. You just got to drink it and believe it.
All right. And another question from Dr. Fishkin. Okay. You mentioned the concept of noise and the need to rise above it. Has it ever been hard to see something in front of you and figure out whether it is noise or something of value?
Wow, that's a great question. Thank you, Dr. Fishkin, if that's how I'm saying it right. Whoa, I mean, in this journey, I won't lie to you guys, right? I've had the opportunity to be in rooms and be around people that, you know, you would never even think of, right? And sometimes that noise is trying to scare you away from what is valuable, right? Again, it's that negative self-talk where, you know, I don't like to blame the devil for anything because, again, I blame people, right? But at the same time, that voice that's talking to you, that's trying to talk you out of what's in front of you, right? You have to be able to decipher what's real and what's not, right? And the whole purpose of truth, right, of life, is seeking truth. The quote for my book is, we can easily forgive a child who's afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life are men who are afraid of the light. That's Plato, right? So we have to walk into the light, no matter how noisy it is. If we believe that there's something there, like I said, when you're following the rainbow, at the end of that rainbow, there may not be any gold, but you still have to be enthusiastic, because somebody once wrote me this for graduation. I was getting ready to graduate and they wrote me a letter. And he said, Brandon, success is walking failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. So ladies and gentlemen, even if we work our behinds off and we don't succeed, please, please stay motivated, like I said, for pillar number 3, please. So thank you, Dr. Fishkin, for that question. I hope I answered it, because that's a really good question.
Okay, Miss Cheryl Harden is asking for advice from you to young people on how to politely cut off people who are not supportive of you.
What I would say, you say politely cut off. I would say, wow, yeah. I mean, people know when they're being cut off. And again, this is your life. Live your life. Do what makes you happy, right? You feel that energy and stuff when you're around certain people. You know what it's like. But it's just like walking through a spider web. You know how you walk through a spider web and it's like all over you, and it's like you breaking it up and all that stuff. You just got to exist above that. You got to get through that, because at the end of the day, right, those type of people that don't support you and they're around you all the time, right, they'll be the same people down the road when you're living with regret that'll say, well, I didn't tell you to follow me, or I didn't tell you to do this, or I didn't tell you to do that, when they know that they did. But if you are following them and you don't, again, like I said, will my environment take responsibility? Will it accept the blame? Your environment is not going to take responsibility for you not succeeding. Your environment doesn't care if you blame it. It's just like, again, why would I want to be a street guy when the streets don't love anybody? Everybody lose to the streets, and I don't want to lose. So why would I do that? It makes absolutely no sense. So cut off whoever, whenever, to succeed. And that's what I would say to that.
Okay, and Mr. Tyler Scott would like you to tell him the best way to maintain a positive self-image of himself.
Hey, it's this thing that I learned, man. It's gonna probably feel weird for you, but if you do this for 30 days straight, you might get comfortable with it. Wake up every morning before you wash your face and look in the mirror and smile 10 times. It's gonna feel weird, but I promise you, after a few days of doing it, exercise. It's about exercising. You gotta exercise your mind, and you gotta exercise your muscles, right? Your brain tells you what to do, right? You don't tell you what to do, if that makes sense. Your brain tells you what to do. So you have to exercise your mental capacity to do everything that you're trying to do. And you should always see yourself in a positive light. I don't care how you feeling, sick, whatever, down, out, bad. Nah, man, you can't do that. There's no such thing as not looking at yourself in a positive light, even when you do something negative, because just because you make a mistake or do something negative doesn't make you a bad person. So don't let nobody make you feel any type of way, but most importantly, don't let yourself make you think that you're not worthy.
Okay, let's continue. I think I'll make a comment and maybe one last question. If there is any other question, the individual could raise their hands. So Mr. Gano says listening to you makes him to believe that at least 70% of our fears are projections of what we believe. It's just appreciating that your words make him to think in that light.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gaynor. And I believe the percentage might be a little higher, but it definitely is up there.
Okay. And the last question is from Ms. Taylor Lawrence, who is asking, how do you go about helping a friend who always seems to have a lot going on in his or her life? And you want to help, but feel they're like draining you. There is always something going on in their life. They are never happy and always complaining to you. How do you go about helping such people?
Hey, Ms. Lawrence, thank you for that. There's a gentleman by the name of James Clear. He writes articles all the time, right? And there's this article about the stove theory, right? I don't know if it's called the stove theory, but he has this analogy of a stove, where you have 4 eyes on the stove and you're trying to make some rice and you got some vegetables and you got whatever else on the stove, but you have to cook everything on high. Miss Lawrence, if everything is on high, something's going to burn because you're not going to be able to make sure everything is right, right? So if you're constantly noticing that somebody's always complaining, right? We talked about gasping, getting around supportive people, right? That's not somebody that's going to be able to save you if you're drowning. So somebody also said earlier, how do you politely cut somebody off? So see, again, I believe in the universe so much that you can't even script this stuff out because everything always ties together. No matter what, you don't have to do anything. And sometimes as people, we make things harder than they have to be. And I'm sure that sometimes this has been a burden on you, Miss Lawrence, but you have to understand that if you're not where you want to be yet, you don't have time to be carrying anybody else's baggage, with all due respect to whoever that individual is. And I say that respectively with a smile.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vega. Dr. Morris has given us a comment, and I think that would actually be like our last comment. Then I'll give you the floor, Mr. Vega, to give us the last word. Okay, and Dr. Morris tells us that you are the reflection of our community. Your success is our success. Focus on what you are building, not what you are behind. So, Dr. Morris, I want to thank you for those comments. They are very insightful, very apropos, given the talk we've just heard from Mr. Vega. And I would like Mr. Vega to give us any closing remarks that he might have. But before I give you the floor, I would just like to thank my colleagues. I need to acknowledge my colleagues who are on this call, those from my department, those who are members of the interdisciplinary seminar series. I did see Dr. Hayes, the chair of the faculty senate, Dr. Isunga was on the call, Dr. Fishkin, Dr. King, Dr. Morris, Dr. Ashley. So I want to acknowledge all of you and thank you for your continued support. Mr. Vega, you have, if you have any closing remarks, they are welcome at this time.
I just want to once again tell everybody, or say to everybody, thank you so much. This is very humbling. Again, growing up, I used to always be told that, hey, Brandon, you talk too much and you always got something to say and this and that. And it's amazing how now I'm getting opportunities because people actually want to listen to me speak. So that's also a part of getting around the support of people, because everybody don't see your gifts, ladies and gentlemen. And if people are criticizing you for things that you're great at, then you need to step away and find another circle, or you need to be isolated and do things by self. So I'm just very appreciative of everybody that has taken the time again on this Friday. I hope that I inspired or I encouraged somebody. This has made me better moving forward. I would love to one day visit the campus, visit you guys. And thank you all for, everything in advance, because I'm sure that some of you guys probably have shared my information and things of that nature. But again, Brandon Vega wants to be a beacon of light, for everybody, not just, his environment or his neighborhood or for Black and brown people. I believe that if we all unite and if we do things collectively, there's nothing that we can't do. And we can actually truly build a real utopia. And I just want to show these products as well. Brandon Vega has a workbook to go along with his book. So again, if you know any educators, please, feel free to forward my information. And if you guys have any feedback for me or any thoughts, please feel free to email me. I'm open to constructive criticism or, whatever it is that you have. So Dr. Indy, thank you, man. I really appreciate you for, allowing me to have this time. And yeah, man, forever grateful. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we should be thanking you for the wonderful discussion and wisdom that you've shared to us today. And everybody else on the panel is thanking you and appreciating what you've done.
Yes.
You have a blessed and wonderful one. Merry Christmas in advance, and we will stay in touch.
Yes, sir. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.